Hi everyone, welcome to the Whiteleyverse with me, Connor Whiteley, for another daily short story. Now, before I start today's story, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you want to buy this short story and any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers and at your local bookstore and local library if you requested, and you can order paperback copies from Amazon. Now, here's today's short story. I hope you enjoyed just as much as I did writing it.
Doubting in Love. Tony Marks hadn't actually known he was gay before last Christmas at that amazing university psychology social with great music, great food and a really cute boy. Tony felt so strange because he was so drawn to that particular boy, never got his name, but Tony would always remember him. So as the party continued, Tony kept feeling more and more drawn to this amazing boy, and just as the Christmas crowd started to go home, Tony found himself kissing his mystery boy, and considering how amazing he felt, he was fairly sure he was gay. And it just felt so right to him. As Tony stood next to a small metal table with tea, coffee and those horrible polyester cups that smelt the coffee taste so fake, awful, and just unreal, Tony made sure he held the table firmly, so firmly he felt his knuckles turn bright white. The drinks next to him made the large university meet room, with its tables and chairs scattered around the room and its smooth white walls, fill up with hints of burnt coffee, disgusting herbal tea, and some other strange smell that Tony didn't know. He wanted to walk away from the table, but he just felt so nervous. Tony had been back to university for a few weeks now after the Christmas break, and talking to his parents about his new preference. That's what everyone wanted to call it, and Tony was just going to let them, and they just said him as long as you're happy. Even now, Tony wasn't exactly sure what that meant. He knew deep down his parents loved him very much, but maybe they were still getting over the shock of finding out he was interested in men, since they refused to call him outright gay. Tony had just laughed, and even now he wasn't exactly sure what the hell had meant. He liked men, and even since that Christmas party, he hadn't looked at a woman in the same way. Then Tony supposed that he never really did in the first place. Sure, he had had a few girlfriends because that's what the cool kids did, and your own self-worth was measured back in secondary school by how many female conquests you had, but Tony had never done that. When all his sporty friends, who were admittingly rather hot retrospectively, had boasted about their latest girlfriends, Tony would just sit there and nod along. And if someone asked him about his own relationships, he would just lie. So maybe that hot Christmas party had just helped him along and realize what had been missing in his life. A man had been missing from it. Tony just smiled to himself, and just realizing that felt amazing, and like it was just a part of who he was. Granted, Tony was never ever going to tell his parents that, not until they were ready to hear such news. And Tony was very willing to wait until then. But as people started to come into the meeting room, in all their different heights, looks, and physiques, Tony just felt his stomach tighten. He had never been to a gay meetup or event before. He didn't know what to expect. He didn't know if all these people wanted to chat, make new friends, or just have sex. That was the problem with the gay community, being so separate from the mainstream. All Tony had to go on was myths, fears, and misconceptions. That, and he supposed he was just a bit concerned or embarrassed to be here in the first place. It wasn't like his parents would exactly be thrilled if they knew he was here mixing with his kind. Then Tony saw some different gay men walk in as they laughed, joked, and seemed like they were perfectly nice people, and Tony decided, or maybe it was more instinct, that he needed to stop thinking about others and just focus on himself. He wasn't here to impress anyone. He was here to explore this new part of himself that felt so right, and if nothing worked out here, then that was okay. He had tried, and that was all that mattered. But ideally Tony would meet some amazing guys, make a few new friends, and in the best world possible, met a really cute man and get to know him better. Tony really wanted that to happen. He just wanted to experience himself a bit more. And ideally he so badly wanted to meet that cute boy again from the Christmas party. But Tony doubted that would ever happen. Austin Jean stood in a long white corridor with posters on various things from charity events to student tips to everything in between as he wondered about going to this meetup. It wasn't that he didn't want to go, he really did. He had always loved university for its amazing gay events and chance to meet other people like him. Back in the tiny village Austin came from, the idea of meeting other gays was impossible, and it wasn't like his parents or anyone he knew was going to drive him to the train station an hour away just so he could get a train to London and meet other gays. That was never going to happen. But Austin had worked hard, got a place at a university in a busy city, and made sure there was an active gay scene there before he accepted the application. Of course, he made sure not to tell his parents those details, but he was so glad he had come. The sound of other students talking about assignments, dates, and other nonsense echoed down the corridor as a large group of girls walked past Austin, and they didn't seem to notice him. Austin just smiled at that. It seemed like no one really noticed him too much these days. Maybe that was the way he liked it too. Austin had been very proactive in class, at gay events, and everything he could throw himself into in the first 2 years of university. But then this family found out he was gay over the Christmas break of the final year. Austin knew it had been worth it going to that Christmas party, kissing that guy, and then trying to find him on social media. But when his parents found him trying to hunt down a poor innocent guy, they really didn't see it like that. Austin just shook his head as he saw a very tall guy he had met at other gay meetups walk past, clearly heading to the current one. Austin did want to go, but he just wasn't sure if it was worth it. They were always great fun, but Austin wasn't sure if that was him anymore. Or rather, more likely, Austin just wasn't sure if his parents found out going home would be worth it. That sounded so stupid to him, but considering his parents already doubted he was gay, and that made him furious, and simply thought he had been brainwashed into being gay at school, Austin just didn't know what to do with himself anymore. He felt so invalidated, and like this massive part of himself was just pointless. Because what was the point of being gay if you could never live it and have your family accept you? Austin knew that there were tons of stories about gays being abandoned by their family, but he honestly loved them. His parents and brothers were great people, just not if you were gay, black, or anything else that the good book said was criminal. The smell of burnt coffee, horrible herbal tea, and another strange hint of something just made Austin frown. There really wasn't any point subjecting himself to all that torture and temptation if he could never do anything about it. After university, Austin wouldn't be allowed to contact any of the amazing people from the meet-up again. He definitely wouldn't be allowed to bring a boy home, and there just was nothing going for him. Not as long as he lived under his parents' roof, which, considering how hard it was to buy a home these days, Austin sadly knew that he would be living at his parents' for a long while to come. And that was just damn well depressing. The sound of a seriously cute laughter echoed down the corridor, and Austin couldn't help but feel like he recognized it. He did. Austin could have sworn he recognized it from the Christmas party, and that really cute guy he had been kissing late that night. He made that laugh at a joke he made. Austin really smiled, and his entire body felt energized at just the idea of seeing that amazing guy again. Austin bit his lip and realized he seriously had to go to the meetup, regardless of whoever else knew about it. After going up the corridor, Austin went into the large university meeting room where the meetup was happening, looked at all the great people he had met before, and shit. Austin honestly felt like his heart stopped as he saw that same amazingly sexy hot guy from the Christmas party, and now he was right in front of Austin. He was even more stunning. Austin just loved the guy's utterly fit body with no fat or muscle. He was just fit. And Austin loved the guy's short brown hair that wasn't too long to do anything with, but it wasn't so short that Austin couldn't run his fingers through it, and that smile. This stunning guy had pearly white teeth that almost blinded Austin, and he was on the opposite side of the room. Stunning guy was so perfect, sexy, and just gorgeous. Austin had to speak to him. He had to get to know him. And Austin really hoped Stunning Guy wanted that too. After talking to a few gay men about how they were finding university, being gay, and some tips about exploring this new part of himself, Tony had really surprised himself because of how amazing he was feeling. He might have been nervous as hell about coming here, but now he was here. Tony couldn't deny how great this all felt to him, and there were so many great-looking guys here. Sure, Tony wasn't actually sure if these guys were as attractive as he felt, but he wondered if he was just so excited about being around so many men who were into the same things as him. It was rather overwhelming in a great way. And Tony had actually managed to talk to some lesbians, which Tony had never done before, and they were wonderful. All the stereotypes about them being manly, awful people was just flat out wrong. They were great. Excuse me, please. Tony didn't know why he heard that deep, sexy voice so clearly, considering all the other people were shouting, talking, and playing a little bit of music all around him. Then Tony realized that he recognized that voice. He had heard that the night of the Christmas party, and it was from that really cute guy. If he was here, then Tony really wanted to find him and thank him for helping Tony realize who he truly was. Excuse me. Tony turned around now that the sexy voice sounded a lot closer, and as Tony looked through the crowd, he saw the most beautiful man he had ever seen. A really cute man, who was clearly about a foot shorter than Tony, was slowly making his way through the crowd towards him. And Tony just couldn't believe how gorgeous he was. At the party it had been dark, loud, and not exactly a great place to meet someone. But now there were lights on. Tony was flat out amazed at the cute man's blondish hair that was combed upwards, making him look adorably cool, sexy, and just amazing. And cute man had such a stunning pointed face with the dirtiest but most perfect smile he had ever seen, and Tony just loved looking at him glide through the crowd towards him. But he wasn't gliding anymore. Tony quickly realized that cute man was standing, smiling right in front of him, and Tony felt his palms turn instantly sweaty at the sight of such a perfect man. Hi, Tony said. I'm Tony. Tony loved seeing cute man's face light up as he said his name. Cute man grabbed his hand and shook it hard. Tony forced himself to breathe, as the shock, excitement, and sheer delight shot through him at the touch. I'm Austin, the cute man said, and Tony forced himself not to do something silly at finally finding out his name. He so badly wanted to punch the air in victory, but Tony knew that wasn't cool. He really had to stop acting and thinking like such a child. He needed to act cool. Tony's a good name. I haven't seen you here before. Enjoying it? Austin asked. Tony so badly wanted to say it was so much better now he had seen Austin. That was such a seductive name, but Tony was forcing himself to not seem too eager. Yeah, Tony said, it's great seeing other people. I've only just started knowing I'm gay. What about you? How long have you been gay or into men? Tony's eyebrows rose when he saw Austin's happiness, delight, and excitement drain out of his face, and he looked furious at him. Tony had thought that was a perfectly reasonable question, but maybe it wasn't. He had a lot to learn about his new community. I'm sorry. Maybe that was too personal, Tony said. Austin just frowned and walked away, his hands forming fists. Tony placed his hand over his heart because he felt like he had just blown it with the most beautiful guy in the world. And that just killed him inside. Tony had one shot, and he just blew it. A few hours later, Austin threw himself onto the soft blue sheets of his bed in his little dorm room, with the desk next to the bed, and the bathroom just a few meters from the end of the bed. He felt so stupid. All he had to do was talk and laugh and enjoy his time with that gorgeous Tony, but he just had to get defensive. Tony was such a hot, sexy man that was clearly interested in him, but Austin just couldn't get involved with him. Austin so badly wanted to. He wanted to talk, laugh, and make love so badly with that man. But one thought kept playing through his mind. What would his parents say? Austin hated himself and was furious with how stupid he had been. He could have just blown his only chance of happiness with such a great guy, all because he was scared. All Austin's life, he had been scared about one thing or another. The captain of the secondary school's football team wanted to go out with him of all people as soon as he turned 16, which was 9 months later than the football captain. And that guy was great, and Austin loved how he had waited those 9 months for him. But Austin had gotten so scared then. Then after secondary school and before university, Austin had been asked out by the smartest man in the entire year group. He was smart, funny, and sexy, and so perfect, but Austin had gotten scared because of his family. No more. Austin couldn't let Tony be the third person he let slip away, because he was too scared to stand up for who he was, what he believed in, and most important, who he loved. Austin forced himself to sit up on his wonderfully soft bed that smelt of lavender from the washing powder he used earlier. He just wanted Tony. He just wanted to see where a relationship with Tony would lead, and not think about his parents, family, and everyone else who doubted he was gay. Austin took out his phone and dialed his best friend Kelly, who also studied psychology, and considering she was the student representative for the course, who made sure she knew everyone and everything, Austin was really hoping she knew how to find Tony. She thankfully answered on the third ring. "Hi, Aus. Hey, Kel. You know everyone in psychology, right?" She laughed through the phone. "Darling, I'm student representative. It is my job to know everything. And I'm insulted you even doubt my ability to know everyone." "Great," Austin said, really not caring. "Where can I find Tony? I really need to see him. Please. Please, Kelly, tell me." Austin suddenly really regretted getting that desperate, but it proved how much he wanted to try a relationship with him. Kelly went very quiet. "Is this Tony Marks? The guy you caused quite the stir with at the meetup earlier?" Austin huffed. He really didn't want to become gossip round the university. "I only asked because he called me too. He wanted to see if you were okay, darling. In fact." Someone knocked at the door. Austin put the phone down. He raced to the door. But when he opened it, Austin almost wanted to shout and scream and cry as he saw it was just a cleaning woman from the university accommodation staff. "Hi," she said. "Just wanted to ask you if you wanted to complete a survey of my cleaning." Austin just frowned. He knew the cleaning woman, and she was a wonderful darling of a person, but he really wasn't in the mood. The woman smiled. "Can see you're not in the mood right now. Here's my card with a link on the back to the survey." Austin took it, smiled, and thanked her. He just wanted to throw it away, but when he turned the card over, there wasn't a survey link on the back, but there was a room number for someone in the building. Austin just smiled. He knew it had to be Tony, and he really, really wanted a relationship with him. No matter what anyone thought. Austin grabbed his keys and ran out the door. Tony was so glad the amazing cleaning woman had offered to help him. After all, he wasn't sure if Austin would want to see him, but now he sat on his velvety soft sheets of his large bed, next to his desk, and bathroom was just by the door. He was starting to think he had made a massive mistake. Tony heard someone walking up the corridor. It was just a group of girls leaving the floor. Tony couldn't help but feel like he was just trying to pursue something that wasn't meant to happen. It was clear that Austin didn't want anything to do with him, so why did he feel the need to keep chasing it? Maybe he should have just left Austin alone and learned to live with never experiencing being gay with him. More footsteps filled the corridor, then he heard laughing as a group of boys and girls walked by, as they presumably got back from some lectures or something. Tony just felt terrible. All he had wanted was to talk, get to know, and maybe kiss that stunning, perfect Austin, but clearly that was never ever going to happen. And Tony couldn't spend the rest of his time at university getting excited at every sound of footsteps, just hoping it would be Austin. Austin just wasn't interested. Tony forced himself up off his bed and went over to his desk to start on some psychology coursework. There were some quiet and slow footsteps in the corridor, but Tony really didn't care now. Someone knocked on his door. Having no idea who it was, Tony went over and opened the door to be utterly amazed that a perfect, stunning short boy was standing there smiling. Austin looked so beautiful, and probably even more than earlier, if that was possible. "I'm sorry," Austin said. Tony smiled. Now that Austin was here, he really didn't care what had happened earlier. He only cared about what was going to happen now and what the future might hold. "Can I come in?" Austin asked. Tony nodded. He was still too amazed for words, so Austin came in and Tony shut the door, and the two of them just stood in the mini corridor between the door and the foot of Tony's bed. "I didn't mean to run off earlier. It's just my parents doubt I'm gay. They made me question myself, and I panic about bringing someone into that," Austin said. Tony smiled. It was great to think about. Austin was already starting to think about protecting him. That was sweet. "It's fine. Really. I don't think my parents have quite got their heads around it yet," Tony said. Austin smiled, and both men just stood there for a moment, admiring each other's beauty. "Can I ask it now?" Tony asked with a schoolboy grin. "What?" Austin asked, giving Tony an evil grin. "Am I gay?" Tony nodded. "Are you doubting yourself? Or are you gay?" Austin smiled, kissed Tony and pushed him against the wall. As Tony savored the amazing softness and taste of Austin's lips, he had his answer, and as his wayward parts sprung to life, he had his answer about himself too. He was definitely gay. As Tony and Austin continued kissing, Tony just knew that there was no more doubt between them. Their chemistry, connection, and love was definitely going to last, and Tony really looked forward to seeing where this went and where they would go to for the rest of their lives. And just that realization made Tony very happy.
Welcome back everyone, it's me again, Connor Whiteley. So I really hope that you enjoyed today's story, because I flat out love writing, creating stories and sharing them with you. If you really enjoyed today's story, then please remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new content, and the engagement really helps the Whiteleyverse with the YouTube algorithms. And if you want to buy this short story or any of my other fiction, then they're available from all major ebook retailers, and you can get them from your local library if you requested, and you can order the paperback copies from Amazon, your local bookstore or local library if you request it. Lastly, if you want to support the channel on a one-off basis, then you can now buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Connor Whiteley. Also, if you know anyone who would enjoy today's story, then please share it with them. I'm always really grateful when you wonderful people help spread the word about the channel. So, thanks for watching the Whiteleyverse, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great day, everyone.